Please welcome Congressman Charlie Crist, Democratic candidate for governor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Craig. Always good to be with you.
Let's start with the issue of abortion, because your position can be challenging to interpret because the labels mean different things to you than they do a lot of other people. For example, you say you're pro-life and pro-choice. And once asked, do you support abortion, you said, no, you're pro-life. So do we take that to mean that you're pro-life in the sense that you don't want abortions to occur, but pro-choice in the sense that it's not left to you in your mind or the government's to decide, but rather the pregnant women under the parameters of Roe v. Wade?
I'm pro-choice because I think women should have the opportunity to make that decision for themselves. After all, it's their body, it's their health. And I was raised with 3 sisters. I'm an only son, Craig. And I think we need to respect all Floridians. And that means whether they're black or white, whether they're, an immigrant or not, whether they're native-born Floridians or not, like me, I was born in Pennsylvania, and whether they're a man or a woman. I think that all people, regardless of background, should and deserve to be respected. I wear these yellow wristbands every day. It talks about a rule that I was raised on in St. Pete, just across the bay, by my mother and father in my Methodist church, the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you.
Why then do you go with labels that are going to, confuse a lot of other people? Reagan, the great communicator, Clinton, the great explainer, would not do that.
Well, I'm just being me. And, everybody should be themselves and present themselves as they believe. And I believe in a woman's right to choose, and I've proven it every time I've had the opportunity in political office. The first time was 1995 as a state senator. In the Health Care Committee in the state Senate, I voted against an anti-abortion bill, killing it in committee on a 3-3 tie, never went to the floor of the Senate. And then as your governor, I vetoed an anti-abortion bill, most recent governor to have ever done so in the history of Florida. I'm very proud of that fact. And then almost 6 years now as a member of Congress, and I have a 100% rating by Planned Parenthood, 100% rating by NARAL.
In terms of the tone of your campaign and of politics right now in general, it is scorched earth. We're living in an age of demagogues, and in which people's perceptions are shaped by what the algorithms on social media feed them, which is often hostility and negativity and controversy. And you are running on the premise that you will deliver decency and politeness and the age of relative civility we had in years past. Is that not a prescription, though, for getting ignored on social media and just getting kicked around like a soccer ball on the field of politics?
I don't think so. I think there is a thirst and a yearn among Floridians, among Americans, frankly, for a return to decency. I mean, we elected Joe Biden president of the United States largely on that issue. We had chaos previous to his election. He had been a seasoned, respected, trusted public servant for years, for decades. Serving in the U.S. Senate from Delaware, then vice president under President Barack Obama. An extraordinary man, a very decent man, a man with great empathy. And who could have more empathy than somebody like Joe Biden, being through what he's been through and losing so many family members.
With respect to clean water, that's a big one here in Florida.
That it is.
Your campaign website states the Crist campaign will release more specific plans for accelerating and restoring the Everglades soon. You've had years to think about it. Early voting is underway as we speak. When will we get the plan, and give us a preview, maybe even break some news? What will it be?
How about today?
Let's do it today.
So the Crist administration, the first one, I had the opportunity to work with sugar companies and work out a deal where we were going to purchase over 100,000 acres just north of Lake Okeechobee, agricultural land, to take it out of ag. Therefore, you wouldn't have all the fertilizer going into the lake, the runoff, all the problems that cause the pollution that goes into Lake Okeechobee and then runs south into the Everglades. That would stop that. Obviously, at that time, we hit the Great Recession, so we had to scale back. We did about 70,000 acres instead of over 100. What I would like to do in the Crist administration, too, is to refire that program up.
There was another reason that did not come together, and it was that you walked away from the job with unfinished business. You also signed the plan to bring high-speed rail to the Tampa Bay area. Those were 2 huge projects that your successor squashed.
Unfortunately.
At the time, what was so alluring about becoming a Washington politician that you would willingly leave behind so much unfinished business that required your follow-through to see it through to completion?
Because I knew where the money was coming from to get us out of that Great Recession. It was Washington. So I thought running for the Senate would be more helpful for Florida, more helpful for America. That's why I did it, to help my state.
To put it another way, how do you assure voters that you want to govern and will follow through on all of these big plans, including the continuation of your Everglades plan from years ago, when years ago you governed at the time and decided you no longer wanted to govern?
Florida is in such a crisis right now, Craig, under Governor DeSantis. You know, you look at the economy, it's a mess. If you're a millionaire or a billionaire in Florida, you're probably doing okay. But most of us are not. And so we're getting squeezed by the price of gas at the pump. We're getting squeezed by the price of groceries. We're getting squeezed by trying to buy a house or even rent an apartment in Florida. Forbes magazine recently rated Florida the most expensive state in America to live in now. Not California, not New York, it's us. And it's because our governor's taken his eye off the ball. He's focused on running for president of the United States, more concerned about Iowa voters, New Hampshire voters, than he is about Florida people. And Florida deserves better than that.
When you think of the governor's appointments as Surgeon General, recently as Secretary of State, the Board of Education, word association, what's the first word that comes to mind?
Chaos. It's very disturbing.
With that in mind, looking at your platform, you are calling for eliminating the nominating process for the Public Service Commission and giving the governor full direct power to appoint whoever the governor wants to the board that regulates our utilities. Given what you just said about the appointments we've seen so far and what you might think of appointments over the last decade, what could go wrong?
If you elect me, nothing's going to go wrong because I'm going to appoint people to the Public Service Commission. Let's start with that really understand it is the Public Service Commission, not the Utility Company Service Commission. Right now, they're lapdogs instead of watchdogs.
You said if you become governor, you would be for this. If you don't become governor and somebody else is, do you see danger in removing the nominating process and giving the governor direct power to appoint the people who regulate our utilities?
Well, there's an easy solution. Vote for Charlie Crist. If we do that, those problems won't exist because I am a benevolent person. I try to fight for the people of Florida because I love them, and I'll do that as your governor.
With respect to the soaring home insurance premiums and the disaster the market currently is, again, your campaign website states, and you've repeatedly said, as Governor Crist lowered rates by 10%, and if elected, he will do it again.
Yeah.
Is that the bar we set, 10%, when it's been going up about 10% a month for a lot of people? It's up 30, 40, 50, 100% in some cases?
Well, compare it to what DeSantis has done. Zero, nothing. He called a special session to try to address property insurance and how it's skyrocketing. You know what he did, along with the Republican legislature? You do know this. They said it's going to be harder for consumers to sue in order to get your money back from your insurance company because you have damage. That's what they did. So it was special, all right, special for the insurance industry, nothing for the consumer. I fought for the consumer. We got rates lowered. He has them going through the roof. You just cited it, almost 10% a month.
I know how you did it back then with the CAT fund, with the rate reductions we saw thereafter. What specifically will you do looking ahead? And if not 10%, what should the goal be?
As much as possible. I mean, you know, it's almost futile to try to put a number on it, but it has to start going down instead of going up. That's the problem. That's why Floridians are being squeezed at the gas pump. The governor wouldn't reduce the state gas tax when I recommended it last November. And so politically motivated, he says, okay, we'll do it in October. Really? Right before the election? Does he think Floridians are stupid? I mean, it's insulting. It really is. And so what we need to do is be focused on reducing those property insurance rates, getting them back down again. I knew how to do it then. I know how to do it now. Vote for me for governor, and we'll get this stuff done for Floridians.
There are a number of causes. The big ones include roofing fraud and lawsuit abuse. It includes the accelerating effects of climate change, driving up the cost of doing business for the insurers in Florida, which they pass on to homeowners. Those are complicated problems. What is your specific solution, and how does it differ from what the legislature and governor did a couple of months ago?
It's the opposite of what they did. It's fighting, as I said before, for consumers. They're not fighting for consumers. They're fighting for the insurance companies.
So which policy do you change? Which reforms do you press forward and expect to get passed to bring some relief?
Well, the CAT fund, you mentioned it. That's what we did before. We can do that again. Yeah, and citizens. Citizens can actually be a good thing if we use it appropriately and we regulate it the way it needs to be, so that it's a stopgap. You got to back up when regular insurance companies don't provide the rates that people deserve. And I remember it back at that time, you may remember this too, Craig, State Farm said they were going to leave the state. I said, good riddance. You're screwing our citizens anyway. Who needs you here? And they were. And they stayed. Why? Because I know what you know and they know. Florida's too big a market to leave.
You focused on federal issues since 2016, not so much state issues, at least not in public interviews. So I want to get a sense of how you've weighed the direction of state Democratic politics in recent years, which is why I'm asking who you voted for in the 2018 Democratic primary for governor.
That's a private vote.
Bernie Sanders weighed in. Why didn't you?
Because it's a private vote, and I respect that. And I respect it for all the people watching today. You know, each individual in this country has the right to privacy. It's being challenged by Governor DeSantis in relationship to women and their right to privacy. We have a stronger privacy clause in the Florida Constitution than the U.S. Constitution, yet he's attacking women, their right to choose. He's doing it every day. He did it with Andrew Warren just yesterday. It's appalling. He's not the king of Florida. He's the governor. He's supposed to work for us, and he should respect women more than he does.
Congressman Crist, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Greg. Great to be with you.